I had my very first photo shoot about a month ago, and it brought up some feelings about my body. Not all of them were good. In fact, most of them were bad. But I'm working through them, and I'm sharing them because I have a feeling that a lot of other people would be working through them. And we can see this as kind of the emotional version of you taking a peek at my homework. You can see what I'm working through, what progress I've made, and maybe you can take some notes. So let's talk about how looking at photos of myself made me feel fat. Yeah, I'm just really putting it out there, The way I did in my photo shoot. I'm just going to let it all hang out. Like I did in my photo. So, this photo shoot, it wasn't a job or a brand deal or anything. It was just something that I chose to do. No one asked me to do it. No one wanted me to do this. I organized it. I found the photographer. I booked him. I styled myself. I did my makeup. My usual hairdresser did my hair, which was very exciting for both of us. I've been seeing her for since I was 21. So 13 years. Good grief. So I knew I wanted proper photos because my first ever single, Wheelchair Babe, stream it wherever you stream things, was ready to release. So I wanted to set up artist accounts on streaming services. I wanted to redo my Facebook page, my website, market future performances, and I wanted to do it right. And I thought if I can get a bunch of great photos with different vibes, then I only really need to do it once for a while. The only other time I've done anything like this was when I was 21. And I did my first and only ever modeling gig. And I only got it because I lived next door to a photographer. And he came over one evening and he knocked on the door and I opened it. And I don't think he even said hello. And he said, "Great, you're still a brunette. What dress size are you?" And I got a job because somebody else had gotten sick. But in that case, none of it was about me. I was just meant to be a coat hanger for a wedding dress. It was great. This time, it was all about me. And that was bloody terrifying. The experience was twofold. There was the experience itself, which was one thing, a huge unknown, which is a big enough hurdle to confront. And then looking at the finished photos was hugely confronting, again, in a different way. I might add some of them in to show them off because I am very proud of them for all they made me question a lot of things. I will say the experience of the photo shoot was incredibly positive and has actually made me consider pursuing modeling again. I used to want to consider it. I used to be considering it before I got sick. I'm very tall, very thin, sort of face that's easy to do makeup on. And then I got sick after this gig when I was 21. They're like, "We'd love to have you back." And then I just got really sick. Couldn't pursue that. And I've sort of kind of considered it over the years. Being plus size and being in a wheelchair, that's a niche. That's a niche thing. Some people could be looking for that. But I wasn't sure if it's just I'm good at taking photos of myself, but not really, suited to anybody else taking photos. But the photographer said that I'm very, easy to direct, which is good for a model. I'm easy to take photos of, which is nice. So it has made me consider that. I worked with Cal from Lens Head here on the Mid-North Coast. Absolutely brilliant. He was so great. His studio is wheelchair accessible and he made everything work for me. My wheelchair was never an obstacle to getting a fantastic shot for him. I was terrified though. My partner and I, when we were picking photos later, we had to narrow it down from 160 to 20, which was very hard. One of the criteria was to find photos where I didn't look scared. Because I was scared. I was uncomfortable. This was so unknown. And I do think that I felt that my disability and my weight would be in the way of getting good shots. But Cal definitely gives the vibe that anything and anyone can look good as long as they have the right angle and the right lighting. And so my confidence definitely grew the more we worked. And I almost forgot that I had felt so self-conscious in the beginning. Until I saw the photos and I saw how I looked in the clothes that I had chosen. So I bought some clothes for the shoot, things that I'd always wanted to buy, things that I had always wanted to own and wear, things that I felt represented me well, but that I hadn't really had a good reason to buy and to actually spend money on. And as luck would have it, Dangerfield was having a massive sale right about the time that I wanted to buy this stuff. I say luck. Usually I don't credit things to luck. I'm a big believer in God, but I don't think God was really that invested in me having a red tartan corset. So I'm going to say luck. The thing with Dangerfield, though, is that they love to crop everything. Why have a shirt that actually goes down to your waist when you can just have it at midriff height? You know, that's great. I don't do that. I cover my stomach. I have a very lumpy, bumpy body. And some of those lumps and bumps, like these guys up here, I'm fine. I'm fine with them. I'm fine with having them noticed and on display. I'm not particularly self-conscious about that. Probably because society tells me that they're okay. Society tells me it's acceptable to have these lumps and bumps. But these upper lumps and bumps are only so big and voluptuous and delicious because I'm fat. When I was thin, I had, nice breasts. They were small, but they looked good in shirts. When I started gaining weight due to taking a lot of medication with that specific side effect, but also being unable to move, everything got bigger. The boobs got bigger. The butt got bigger, although it kind of flattened like a pancake because I was sitting on it all the damn time. And the belly got bigger. And I struggled with that new body because it wasn't what I'd always had. One day when I was struggling a lot with psychosis, I actually asked my mother for a pair of scissors so I could just chop the belly off. Because it didn't belong there. That didn't belong to me. I'm looking at it going, that's not mine. That's weird. I'll just get rid of that. That's fine. A few years ago, when I became more proactive in writing music, in doing advocacy in public and online, I started in Instagram and I started posting selfies. I've always been good at posting selfies. I know my looks, my angles, my smiles, all of that. I also know, and I got very good at, especially when I got bigger, at the looks and angles that would hide the things that I wanted to hide. But then I started following other wheelchair using influencers on Instagram, and they would do full body shots of them in their wheelchairs. And I thought, this is beautiful. I can be attractive and show off my whole self as somebody who is disabled. I started following people who were plus size, and they would do full body shots. And I thought, that is beautiful. I can be attractive and show off my whole self as somebody who is fat. And if those photos encourage me, then maybe I can share photos that encourage others. I want to be a part of this movement that normalizes disabled people and bigger people feeling and looking beautiful and handsome and showing themselves off. But still, I had all the control. I could take as many photos and then choose the best. I could cover what I thought was unacceptable. If I wore something that accentuated my stomach, that didn't get a full body shot. That got a boobs up shot. That wasn't to be seen. So when I tried on these things from Dangerfield and I saw that they were somewhat cropped and would show the shape of my stomach, I thought, shit, no getting away from it now. In many pictures in this photo shoot, I was able to cover it up with a guitar. But in the ones with the corset and jeans, there's lumps and bumps on display. My big round stomach is there to be noticed, not covered by the folds of a shirt or the angle of a camera. And when I received the photos, I looked at them and my first thought was, what will people think? Will people think it's gross? Will people zone into that one feature? Then I had to stop myself and ask myself what I thought. And I thought I looked amazing, except for my stomach. Isn't that funny? I thought it looked great, except for that. I could almost draw a circle on the bit that I hated about the photo. I even spent half an hour Googling plus-sized and fat models with tummies to see if it was just stomachs that bothered me or just mine. I looked at these models and I saw them holistically. Their stomachs didn't seem to bother me. So yeah, it seemed to be just mine. I Googled, can big bellies be attractive? Are big bellies gross? Do big bellies detract from the overall beauty of somebody? The answer is Like yes and no depending on the person, like everything else. Nell, come on. Like some people who are attracted to feminine bodies said that a big belly is like an extra boob. Round and soft and comfy. What could be better? Some people said it did detract, and that's like literally everything, every feature. People like it or people hate it, or people just don't care. I stopped and imagined my partner's face when he looks at me and thinks that I'm the bee's knees, the prettiest guy in the world, and his face doesn't drop when he suddenly remembers that I have a big stomach. I thought about like ancient fertility goddesses, where like in cultures where my figure would have been hailed as like the pinnacle of feminine beauty. I thought about Rubens, who painted women with lumps and bumps, and he glorified them. Like, I'm non-binary in the way I view myself, but I also have one of the most historically perfect feminine bodies imaginable. And I know that part of what I was doing is beyond just me. Part of why I was doing this was more than just me. I didn't just want to feel like a babe for my own sake. I wanted this to be for others, to be a part of this movement that's allowing plus-sized wheelchair babes to see a body like theirs presented in this way. Celebrated, accepted, showed off, and the lumps and bumps being acknowledged, not hidden, saying you can be attractive with that, not you can be attractive in spite of that. I was feeling uncertain if I would be celebrated and accepted, if I was allowed to look the way I do. I don't like that that's the way I feel, but it's the truth. And if I feel like that, I know that others will too. So I want to add to the positive influences. I want to add to that experience of seeing differences, of seeing different bodies looking wonderful and having the right to look wonderful. I'm also becoming aware that I won't always have control over my image, or rather my images. At the moment, if I look cute, I strike a pose at home. I take a few photos at home. I pick the best one at home and then I post it from home. I'm starting to take myself out of my home more. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I need to be aware that photos might be taken of me that I don't have the same control over and veto power over. If I'm on stage performing and somebody takes a photo of me, I can't stop mid-performance, ask to see that photo and tell them to move to get a better angle. If they're a professional, I have to trust them. If they're an audience member, that is in the Lord's hands and he can take care of that. If I get photos taken at an event or somebody meets me at a gig and wants to take a photo with me, I can't ask to take 6 photos and then choose the best one. I need to be happy and confident with a one and done, not just with my face, but with my body too. I can no longer have good bits and bad bits of my body. They all need to be good bits. Otherwise, I am going to constantly criticize and hate photos of myself taken in situations that I can't control. I'll still probably have preferred parts of my body, poses that I know look better for me or make me feel good, but for my mental health, I can no longer demonize parts of my body as wrong or ugly or the bit that ruins the rest of it. And part of the struggle is that if I could change my body, I would. If I could lose some weight, I would. It is not healthy for me to have this amount of bulk around my organs that are already struggling to function, especially when I'm not active. But the not active part means that losing weight is extremely difficult. And the reason that I gained weight isn't just because of the lack of movement, it's because I'm on a shitload of medication that I can't stop. So I guess sometimes I struggle to look at my stomach because it is a symbol of my lack of control. I became severely ill and a bunch of doctors put me on a bunch of medication that made me gain 60 kilos in, 5 years? And it's like, it shouldn't be there. It's a symbol of my illness journey. My boobs, on the other hand, are the compensation payout for this journey. But why do I feel that way? Why is it that one lump and bump is a curse and the other lump and bump is a reward? That's what I'm trying to change, that internal rhetoric. I might never say, these tight jeans are showing how round my stomach is. I love it. But I need to get to a point where if those jeans are showing off the shape of my stomach, That's not a barrier either to me wearing them or to me feeling good in pictures in them. I spoke to my therapist about this, and she likened my attitude to my stomach, to that of an unloved child. Let's look at it this way. I looked great in that photo, except for my stomach. Now, everyone looked great in the family photo, except for Kevin. Can we maybe move Kevin behind a pot plant? Maybe we can do this on a day when Kevin isn't here. Kevin just never really belonged with us. We never really wanted Kevin, you know? No one wants Kevin to be there. He kind of brings down the vibe the family is going for. He's not like the rest of us. He's a little odd. So we'll just hide him away. Pretend he's not there. If he does show himself, we'll make it clear that he's not wanted. My stomach is Kevin, the unloved child. It's as much a part of me as anything else. It hasn't done anything wrong to me to deserve this dismissal, except not live up to society's expectations. I mean, honestly, it's gone through some of the worst of my illness. The amount of damage it's gone through is insane. It processes all of my medication. It does its best to process food, to sort through toxins. It's taken the brunt of my health issues. It does a lot for me, to be honest. But I don't want it in photos because people tell me it doesn't look nice. We need to appreciate Kevin. You all have one. I mean, it might not be your stomach, might be another part of your body that you don't want to include in the family photo. But think of what it does for you, and think of what would happen if it was no longer there, not just in the family photo, but in the overall makeup of your body. If you woke up and your Kevin wasn't there, what would the impact be? Not just if your Kevin was changed, but if your Kevin wasn't there. If I woke up and the Kevin that I had was not just smaller, but wasn't there. If all the workings of my stomach ceased to function entirely. I need Kevin. He might not look the way I want him to, but I need him. I need to start appreciating my Kevin. He can be in the family photo. Why shouldn't he be? My body, every part of it, is a family, and the whole of it looks amazing. Go and stream Wheelchair Babe on your streaming service of choice. It was written by a real Wheelchair Babe with help from their Kevin. And show your Kevin some love. Thank you for listening and for learning with me. This was a long one, but I think it had to be done. It had to be done. Justice for Kevin. All right. See you in the next one. Bless. Also, new mic. It'll sound better from now on, I promise.
My high heels don't get dirty, 'cause I'm willing along. I'm feeling kind of flirty as I'm singing my song. I am a wheelchair babe, and there's nothing wrong with me. Just because I'm sitting down doesn't mean I'm out of bounds. This wheelchair doesn't stop me from looking and feeling hot. If you